GameSir's made some pretty alright devices the past couple of years, from the G7 to the new G7 to the T4K, the other T4Ks, the other T4Ks for Xbox, and now the new controllers that are called the Novas. None of these are bad per se. I mean, well, okay, that's not exactly true. But there is actually some bad news. When you throw them all into a bin, they're all basically the same shit with mild spec differences and mild price differences. But the Novas are the least different, the least similar to the other GameSir controllers, which is weird. The lineup is still complicated regardless. The Lite is the absolute basics, whereas the Nova is a controller with a little bit more, a slightly higher price, and a feature we've been asking GameSir for, well, yeah, years at this point. At $25 and $35, these are the cheapest anti-stick drift Hall effect thumbsticks that you could find on a controller. And since they're both wireless and one of them has short triggers, I think GameSir did a phenomenal job of completely fucking their future lineup. So let's tear these apart, both literally and figuratively. And if you like what you see, beat up the sub button. We're doing teardowns and a couple of other cool things. But before we get into today's video, we do have a sponsor. I know, fancy. I'm sure you guys have heard of HelloFresh, supposedly America's #1 meal kit. With over 45 recipes and a bunch of market items, you can get fresh meals prepared by real chefs delivered directly to your door. Now, I am an introvert, and every time I go out to the store because of the way I look, I'm usually glared at like a skinned dog, so I prefer not to go out shopping. Although I do occasionally go out, so you might see me out and about, like Kevin did. Hi, Kevin. Luckily, services like HelloFresh exist so you don't have to go out and risk meeting your audience if you're other creators. So if you're looking for a pretty simple way to change your eating habits, I'd say, you can hit the link in the description and you will get 10 free meals as well as 1 free dessert per box for the entire lifetime of your subscription. Thank you so much to HelloFresh for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get right back into it. Okay, so GameSir sent these. Bad idea. This channel was designed on many things, but the foundation of all of them was brutal honesty, and I'm continuing that today. But first, let's start with some good shit. Someone finally made an Essentials Hall effect controller, which is very, very nice. Excited about that one. Both this and the pricier Nova feature GameSir's new anti-stick drift thumbsticks, which inhabit the old bodies of the decrepit old Alps thumbsticks. They are simply enhanced with Hall effect PEDs like EPO, as opposed to the case-over sticks GameSir has been using in previous controllers. The Lite has a full trigger pull with no rear buttons. It's really just the Hall effect sticks and wireless. It's very basic. And the base Nova is your more basic pro controller with 2 rear buttons, some cool aesthetics. You got RGB rings and 2 different colors on the website. However, this time you get a sit carrying case. Actually, both the controllers come with cases. It's just that both the Lite controllers I got came with completely different packaging. One of them had nothing. This whole thing's been a mess. And it also comes with 2 extremely mushy membrane buttons for triggers, which is a bit interesting. All right, now pay attention because things get a little fucky. Both these controllers have Bluetooth and 2.4 gigahertz, but this didn't come with a USB-C cable out of the box, only this one did. And this one didn't come with a 2.4 gigahertz dongle, only this one does. This will be brought up again later. For now, we'll move on to polling rates. I got the 2 controllers mixed up in the response time section, so here I am. The Lite on USB-C, so wired, stays consistently around 500 Hz or 2 milliseconds estimated, whereas the base bounces from 500 Hz to 250 Hz randomly. And while response times are not precisely defined by polling rates, I still say this is one reason to buy the Lite over the base, if you're gonna buy either of these, which, bit of a spoiler alert for the conclusion, but you probably shouldn't. Take it all with a grain of salt. Testing methods are on the way. My god, these things are hard to test, but for now, more polling rates. Wireless is just awful. Bluetooth is basically unusable, which most Switch controllers have unusable Bluetooth. Also, ton of complaints about the Bluetooth disconnecting all the time, or it just doesn't work at all, which, you know, that's also fun. And the Nova Lite's 2.4 gigahertz dongle, on the Nova Lite at least, runs at apparently 120 hertz, but it feels sluggish and awful. The 2.4 gigahertz dongle also has some disconnecting issues as well that we'll deep dive into in a minute. Even I had the dreaded misfortune of coming across the issues that many people talked about with the dongle on the Lite version. The wireless experience overall is absolutely atrocious. Providing you give either of the Nova's extensive playtime, you find yourself in suckland very fast. How does the dongle perform with the base Nova? I don't know. It only connects to the Lite, and I have 2 Lite controllers and a Nova, and the dongle would not connect with anything aside from the original controller it came with. Even though the base is $10 more expensive, it does not come with the dongle. You'll have to buy that separately from their website apparently. This Who the hell is making the decisions at your company for all of this shit? Now, the whole wireless response time thing is a bit strange, and I think it may tie into the next issue we got going on here, and that is with the new Hall effect sticks GameSir is using. Like I've said millions of times, the Hall effect targets one of the main two issues causing stick drift, making them far more reliable, providing those thumbsticks are designed efficiently and with good materials in mind. I will stand behind anti-stick drift until the day I die. And I'll have an entirely separate, very in-depth project coming out about how Hall effect thumbsticks work, how they affect your aim, their comparisons to potentiometer sticks, and I'm going to try to get some people involved with that project who are actually building and designing their own sticks, so I have some more people with more expertise than I on the situation. With incredibly advanced testing methods and both me and you guys being on the same page about how all this shit works, it'll then be much easier to verify claims like this shit of 5 million cycles that GameSir saying. We'll have to see about that one, but I can confirm that these thumbsticks are very, very nice looking. The resolution has almost zero jitter. Incredible consistency. It's just a shame it doesn't feel anything like that. Out of all the controllers of the GameSir lineup, this is probably the hardest two controllers to make any type of smooth, flowy movements with the thumbsticks with. They are incredibly slow. Playing any sort of competitive game, it feels like there is an incredible response time issue with the device and issues with the thumbsticks themselves. The physical sticks are kind of nice like their old ones. They're the PS5 ultra wides with anti-friction rings on, you know, just the base. So like they physically feel cool, but the actual sticks are cheese, like old, I can't say what type of cheese because I have a sponsor. Moving on. Do I like anything? Yeah, well, yeah, actually I do. As a YouTuber, I am contractually obligated to be interested in minors.
You a pedophile.
I like the triggers, okay? Kind of. The Lite's full pull triggers, they're cool. Membrane buttons on the base, they're okay. There's a ton of play in these triggers because they're very rubber domey, so you know, that's just how it is. They could have been better, but I welcome the addition of shorter triggers, which is something we've asked for fucking ages. We've also been asking for more rear buttons, yet here we are. With another 2-button layout, granted one that's kind of unique. The buttons are raised off the edge so they're easier to find. They're connected as one single piece, but there's still only 2. So I don't really think many people give a shit. We have another weird attempt at that dynamic feedback shit you get from the PlayStation DualSense controllers with these ginormous rumble motors in the base Nova that I have no idea how they work, because they do actually function. The controller vibrates when it wakes up. They don't work in any of the games I use them in. None of the apps I can use that will do anything for controllers. Nothing works. I can't get the rumble motors to work. They refuse. The Lite has rumble motors that work though. They're normal, but they work. Like, what the hell is this shit?
Now listen to this. No, listen to this, right?
Square shoulders, boxer build. Looks like we went with an 8-bit ergonomic design for our new $50 budget Pro controller from GameSir. Bumpers and triggers are on the front instead of being shaped to the controller shell like they are with Xbox. The shape is a nice change of pace for GameSir. But again, not 8-bit who's been doing it for a while, but there was probably someone who was doing it, you know, for a while before that. This isn't a history lesson. The grip on the bottom of each controller is plastic. For reference, I think the G7 is actually one of the only budget Pro controllers that has a rubber grip on the bottom at this price point. Big one may have 1 or 2. You know, why the hell am I doing all this? Like, this is my 18th GameSir review. I have another one to do after this. I'm very sick and tired of this shit. I'm gonna speed run making the best review of this, and then I'm gonna go work on the Vader 4 Pro review, or something that's... Why are we here again?
You know, I get the weirdest feeling. We've done this before.
Face buttons, membrane on both controllers. Very ick. ABXY are stable, more stable than the Khalids that they just released for Xbox, I might add, and not too obnoxious, but the D-pad, to put it lightly, is fuck. And the teardown, I found that the rubber pads used for the D-pads are absolute trash. And both these controllers feature identical face buttons, so pick your poison, you're gonna die anyways. The iPhone and Android app GameSir has available for these controllers gives you firmware updates, user manuals, tutorials, and feedback options. That was fun. The app has zero customization of any kind, unlike the T4K. I suppose that's the advantage of buying a T4K over this, which is another Switch controller GameSir sells, but it's wired and the software is only available on PC, so. The M button provides some on-the-fly features for customization that I'll put up on screen now because, you know, we've done this before. You got some RGB options for the base Nova. And the RGB actually has quite a few options, and it's incredibly pretty. But to be pretty enough to drown out all of your flaws, you need to be like a 10, which these are not. This one never ends. The more time I spend, the more things I find. Press the M button, you could adjust the vibration intensity. That flashing red you just seen was me accidentally setting turbos, which you can do for the bumpers, triggers, and ABXY buttons. Don't do that though. And yeah, it says something about gyro calibration, which you can calibrate the gyro. No idea how to turn it on though. You got stick calibration in case your sticks end up going garbage, but then there's nothing about how to turn the vibrations motors on, the gyro. Teardown, not going to dive too deep. You guys have already seen the majority of the teardown shots, but we do have a 1200 milliamp hour battery for the base Nova, which I can confirm. However, in an attempt to confirm the 600 milliamp hour battery for the Lite, which doesn't feature RGB lights, so, you know, that's acceptable, I suppose. Not only did I find that the battery had no specs on it, I also may have broken something. Fortune favors the bold until the bold get fucked. And for one last shot, here's the rumbles that they included that are non-goddamn functional. Wish I could tell you how those felt, but they decided that wasn't my job today. Oh, and you know what else doesn't work? A bunch of things. Most of the complaints are, as I said earlier, they're actually about the wireless 2.4 gigahertz connection and Bluetooth connection. But there are many scattered issues around the ABXY and D-pad buttons, as well as the bumpers and triggers. And the fact that the lack of a manual for the Lite version of the controller is a bit of a problem for setup. As simple as it is, for the 2.4 gigahertz connection and the M button things, you do need a little bit of guidance. Online manuals, go lick my ball. But yeah, the buttons experience misinputs quite often. The response times get dogged on all the time, which I'm not gonna disagree with, because I actually think this is one of the main reasons a lot of this controller feels like garbage, especially the thumbsticks. Weirdly, I haven't really seen many stick drift complaints. I think I've only seen one or two, but the sticks seem okay now. I suppose we'll see in time, but this seems to be, both these controllers seem to be the pinnacle of basically nothing.
Eric, how many times do you think I've told a bad guy that it's over? Especially when it's not over.
Yeah, this is okay, I guess. The Lite is an essentials controller. No pro features, just wireless and Hall effect sticks. In theory, on paper, in a vacuum, in a different universe, I love this controller and I really like the idea. But this sucks. The new thumbsticks have some type of promise. The prices are unbeatable, but the Hall effect sticks suck. And they suck because the response time sucks, the connection sucks, Bluetooth and 2.4 gigahertz, corroborated by a bunch of other customers. So as good as the statistics on these sticks seem, this is not good for sweating. And not only is the reliability jank, GameSir support is worthy of being I'm actually not even going to say that. Just be sure to buy these from third-party sellers and get coverage if you can. And that's not just for GameSir, but any Chinese controller company. Now, the much prettier looking base Nova. What in the fuck is this? This is a wireless controller with garbage wireless. Super cheap anti-stick drift pro controller, got 2 pro features, some cool aesthetics. And then you make it cheaper than your equally pretty wired switch pro controller, which has more features, even though technically because the T4K has software that's only available on PC, it's not really a Switch controller. These at least can get updates through a mobile app, so they're technically more Switch controller-ish, but in no universe would you ever buy this over a T4K because the performance differences are just so vast. But the T4K is a little bit more expensive than this, but the T4K is wired. All right, I'm gonna sum this up in the easiest way I can. Every other GameSir controller I've ever felt, literally all of them, all feel infinitely better in terms of response time, the thumbsticks, their accuracy, speed, overall performance, the features, while sometimes questionable with things like face buttons, overall seem to be a bit better, and their wired connections don't seem to be as unreliable as these wireless connections. And most of these third-party companies just cannot do a solid wireless connection. FlyDigi has struggled to do it forever. Turtle Beach failed at it miserably. The main selling point for these is that these are the cheapest Hall effect controllers that you could find, right? And not just the cheapest, but they're also wireless. But the wireless doesn't matter because it's garbage. So like in good conscience, I can't really recommend either of the GameSir Nova controllers unless you specifically want the Lite for like a very specific niche case. You're playing casual games that are so casual and so removed from any like necessity for performance that you do not need accuracy. If you need that and you're willing to test out and try to deal with the bullshit that is the wireless connection, you know, then yeah, sure. But I see that as like not being anybody who's probably gonna watch this video, so overall, probably shouldn't buy these. I'll leave links in the description for those who are curious, but you're gonna be bad at like Minecraft. I'm so sick of this shit. These and the Xbox Khaleds are gonna be the last time I look at GameSir controllers for a while. If they release another pair or another controller under this spec guideline, I will not be looking at it. I shouldn't have even actually accepted the controllers that they wanted to send me. I just knew that if I actually wanted to provide value to you guys, I'd probably get these controllers, especially because there's a large portion of you that are specifically interested in this company's shit. This company makes some cool shit 2 years ago. When they make cool shit again, I'll come back and look at them. I'm gonna dog on the Khaleds a little bit. I have probably, it's a great review. It's very, I have some very, very nice jokes in that review. Some very nice jokes. Very nice jokes. Some jokes I'm gonna be recycling from some old videos. Just cuz. I cannot wait to see you guys in the next ones. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go write, because I write these videos. Take it easy.
Why the fuck is you running, boy? I'ma hawk you down.